When Barron Trump walked into the upscale New York City restaurant, he had no idea that his evening would take an unexpected turn. Dressed casually but neatly, he sported a red "Make America Great Again" hat, a signature symbol of his father's political movement. What should have been a quiet dinner with friends quickly escalated into a scene that left the entire restaurant in shock. Eyewitnesses recall the moment the restaurant manager approached Barron's table, his expression tense. At first, it seemed like a routine visit to check on customers, but within moments, his tone changed. He pointed at Barron's hat and sternly told him, "We don't allow political statements in this establishment." Barron, now 18 and known for his calm demeanor, was taken aback. His friends exchanged uneasy glances. One of them tried to reason with the manager, explaining that Barron wasn't causing any disturbance. But the manager stood firm, insisting that the hat was offensive to other patrons. A hush fell over the restaurant as customers turned to watch. Some whispered among themselves, while others pulled out their phones to capture the moment. The tension in the air was palpable. Then, in a move that stunned everyone, Barron Trump stood up slowly, removed his hat, and placed it on the table. He looked the manager directly in the eye and said, "I understand that businesses have policies, but targeting someone for their beliefs isn't right. This isn't just about a hat, it's about the principle." The manager, now visibly irritated, pointed toward the door and demanded that Barron leave. A few diners gasped in disbelief. Some murmured words of support, while others shook their heads. Barron didn't argue. Instead, he simply nodded, picked up his belongings, and walked toward the exit. But just before reaching the door, he paused. Turning back, he addressed the entire restaurant. "I respect different opinions, and I believe in free speech. If this place chooses to silence people based on what they wear, that's their choice. But people will remember this." With that, Barron walked out, leaving behind a stunned crowd. Moments later, social media erupted. Videos of the encounter spread like wildfire, with hashtags like Barron Trump and MAGA trending within hours. Some viewers praised Barron for handling the situation with grace, calling him classy and mature beyond his years. Others criticized the restaurant, accusing it of discrimination. Debates flared up online, with people taking sides on whether the manager's actions were justified. But what happened next was something no one saw coming. The next morning, Barron Trump took to social media, posting a message that read, "Respect goes both ways. Support businesses that value all customers." Attached to his post was a list of restaurants known for their inclusive policies, places that welcomed people regardless of political beliefs. Within hours, some of these restaurants saw an influx of customers. People lined up outside, eager to show their support. Restaurant owners who made it onto Barron's list expressed gratitude, saying their businesses had never seen such a surge in traffic. Meanwhile, the restaurant that had thrown Barron out faced a different fate. Negative reviews flooded their page. Calls for boycotts grew louder. By the end of the week, the manager who had removed Barron was placed on indefinite leave. The owner issued a public apology stating, "We regret how this situation was handled. Our establishment welcomes all patrons, and we are reviewing our policies to ensure fairness." But the most unexpected twist came when Barron, instead of celebrating the backlash against the restaurant, urged people to move forward. In a follow-up post, he wrote, "Mistakes happen. Let's not destroy livelihoods over disagreements. Let's choose respect." His response earned widespread praise, with many calling it a lesson in leadership. Some even compared his composure to that of seasoned politicians. While the controversy eventually died down, one thing remained clear. Barron Trump had made an impression far beyond just being the son of a former president. He had demonstrated what it meant to stand firm in one's beliefs while maintaining respect for others, and in doing so, he left everyone speechless. As the days passed, the story continued to dominate headlines, with major news outlets picking up the incident. Pundits debated the implications of what had happened. Was it an issue of political bias, an overreaction by the restaurant, or simply a private business exercising its right to refuse service? Barron, however, remained unfazed by the media storm. Unlike his father, who was known for his fiery responses to controversy, Barron's approach was measured. He declined interview requests and refrained from making any further statements. Instead, he let his actions do the talking. A week after the incident, Barron made an unannounced visit to one of the restaurants he had highlighted in his social media post, a small, family-owned diner in New Jersey. The moment he walked in, customers and staff alike were stunned. The owners, a hard-working immigrant couple, couldn't believe their eyes. They greeted him warmly, thanking him for the support that had helped their struggling business thrive. Without fanfare, Barron took a seat, ordered a simple meal, and engaged in casual conversations with diners. Photos surfaced online of him shaking hands with the staff and even posing for pictures with a few customers. But what stood out the most was his humility. He never demanded attention or special treatment. He was just another guest, enjoying a meal like everyone else. Meanwhile, the original restaurant where the incident took place was facing mounting pressure. Their attempts at damage control weren't working. A former employee came forward, claiming that the manager had a history of targeting customers based on their political views. More negative reviews poured in, and business slowed dramatically. The restaurant, once a hotspot for the city's elite, was now struggling to fill tables. Sensing an opportunity to turn the situation into a learning moment, Barron did something unexpected. Instead of celebrating the restaurant's decline, he made a call to the owner. According to sources close to the situation, Barron expressed his hope that the restaurant would move forward in a positive way. He suggested hosting an event that focused on unity, where people from all backgrounds could come together and discuss their differences over a meal. The restaurant's owner, humbled by the experience, agreed. They announced a special event, inviting customers of all political affiliations to dine together and engage in open dialogue. To everyone's surprise, Barron himself attended the event, once again demonstrating his commitment to respect and understanding. The event was a success. Customers who had previously boycotted the restaurant began to return, appreciating the effort to make amends. The manager who had thrown Barron out was no longer employed there, but the restaurant had learned a valuable lesson about the importance of treating all patrons with fairness. As for Barron, he continued to go about his life with quiet confidence. While he rarely sought the spotlight, moments like these revealed a side of him that few had seen before. He had turned a moment of controversy into a chance for positive change. And just like that, what began as a confrontation over a hat became a lesson in grace, leadership, and the power of standing by one's values without resorting to anger or division. The young man who had once been seen merely as the son of a former president was now proving that he had a voice of his own, one that demanded respect, not through force, but through character. In the weeks that followed, the impact of Barron Trump's response continued to ripple across social media, news networks, and even political circles. While some expected him to use the moment to launch a more public platform, Barron remained relatively silent, choosing instead to let his actions speak louder than words. However, what many didn't realize was that Barron had been quietly working behind the scenes. Reports began to surface that he had reached out to multiple restaurant owners, both conservative and liberal-leaning, to have private conversations about political bias in the service industry. His goal wasn't to create more division, but to find common ground in an increasingly polarized country. One notable conversation was with the owner of a famous liberal cafe in Los Angeles, a place known for refusing service to high-profile conservatives in the past. While the cafe's management had never faced backlash as severe as the New York restaurant that threw Barron out, their stance had always been clear. They didn't want to serve those who supported certain political figures. Yet, after a private call with Barron, the cafe owner made a surprising statement on social media. "We had a long conversation with Barron Trump. He's not who we expected him to be. He challenged us to rethink how we approach differing opinions. Maybe it's time we stop letting politics dictate who we welcome into our space." The post sparked another wave of debate. Some praised Barron for engaging in meaningful dialogue, while others accused the cafe of betraying their values. But one thing was certain: His approach was making an impact far beyond what anyone had anticipated. Meanwhile, Barron's growing influence didn't go unnoticed by political insiders. While he had never expressed any desire to enter politics, speculation began circulating about his potential future. Some conservative commentators floated the idea of him taking on a leadership role within his father's movement. Others saw him as a new kind of figure, one who could bridge the gap between deeply divided political groups. Despite the growing media frenzy, Barron continued to keep a low profile. However, those close to him noted that he had been receiving invitations to speak at events focused on free speech, youth leadership, and political tolerance. Then, another unexpected move came. Barron quietly launched an initiative aimed at supporting small businesses that had been impacted by political boycotts, both conservative and liberal establishments. His message was clear. Businesses should not be casualties of political disagreements. Let's support hardworking Americans, no matter who they vote for. The initiative quickly gained traction. Major brands reached out, offering to sponsor bipartisan events that encouraged people to shop, dine, and engage with businesses that prioritized service over politics. The message was simple but powerful. America thrives when people come together, not when they tear each other apart over ideological differences. Of course, not everyone was happy with Barron's growing influence. Certain political figures and media outlets criticized him, accusing him of trying to soften the hard lines that define the modern political landscape. But Barron refused to engage in mudslinging. He never attacked his critics, never responded with outrage. Instead, he maintained the same level-headed approach that had won him so much admiration in the first place. As months passed, the once viral story of Barron Trump being thrown out of a restaurant had evolved into something far greater. What started as a moment of public humiliation had become a defining chapter in his journey, a moment where he had the chance to lash out, but instead chose to lead. By the end of the year, Barron was being recognized not just as the son of a former president, but as a young man who had stepped into his own light. Whether he had any aspirations beyond this remained unknown, but one thing was clear: he had already left a lasting impact. And for those who had doubted him, his next move had indeed left everyone speechless. As the months went by, Barron Trump's influence continued to grow, but in a way no one had anticipated. Unlike traditional political figures who thrived on controversy and confrontation, Barron's approach remained calm, composed, and focused on unity rather than division. This earned him admiration not just from conservatives, but also from moderates and even some liberals who appreciated his willingness to engage in respectful dialogue. His initiative to support small businesses affected by political boycotts expanded rapidly. With financial backing from donors who believed in his message, Barron helped fund local mom-and-pop shops that had been unfairly targeted, whether for being too conservative or too liberal. He made it clear that his mission wasn't to take sides, but to stand for fairness and economic freedom. At one point, a well-known conservative business owner reached out to personally thank Barron, saying that his support had saved their struggling cafe from shutting down. On the flip side, a bakery that had previously lost customers due to left-leaning views also saw a surge in support after Barron encouraged people to shop based on quality, not politics. The message was spreading fast. American businesses should thrive based on hard work and good service, not political affiliations. With media attention on him growing, Barron finally agreed to a sit-down interview, his first major public appearance since the restaurant incident. The interview aired on a major news network and instantly became one of the most watched broadcasts of the year. People wanted to hear from Barron himself. When asked about the restaurant controversy that started it all, Barron didn't attack or criticize the manager who had thrown him out. Instead, he reiterated his belief that businesses have the right to set policies, but that they should do so with fairness in mind. His maturity and thoughtfulness surprised many. "I think people are too quick to label others as enemies," Barron said during the interview. "Disagreements shouldn't mean disrespect. If we keep treating people like they don't deserve a seat at the table because of their political beliefs, then we're only making the divide worse." His words struck a chord. Almost immediately, social media exploded with reactions, and even some of his critics acknowledged that he had presented a perspective worth considering. Then came the moment that truly shocked everyone. At the end of the interview, the host asked Barron the question on everyone's mind. Do you see yourself getting involved in politics in the future? For a brief moment, Barron paused, then gave a slight smile. I think there are many ways to make a difference, he replied. You don't need a title to be a leader. That single statement sent shockwaves across political circles. Some took it as a sign that Barron was leaving the door open for a future in public service. Others saw it as a declaration that he was carving his own path, one that didn't rely on traditional politics, but instead focused on bringing people together in unexpected ways. Despite the speculation, Barron stayed true to himself. Instead of jumping into political campaigns or endorsements, he continued to quietly build his movement of unity and respect. He partnered with nonprofit organizations, worked on youth empowerment programs, and even began speaking at college campuses about the importance of open dialogue in a divided world. His message resonated. Young people who had grown tired of political extremism found inspiration in his words. He wasn't trying to push a party agenda or score political points. He was simply advocating for fairness, decency, and the ability to have disagreements, without hatred. In a world where viral moments often fade quickly, Barron Trump's story didn't just disappear. Instead, it became a turning point, not just for him, but for anyone who believed in the idea that respect and understanding could still have a place in American culture. And in the end, the young man who had once been dismissed as just the son of a former president had done something no one expected. He had changed the conversation entirely.